Hey Rob, so I thought today we'd do like a total compare. So I've got my Epiphone ES339 Pro. It has the Alnico vintage pickups that were put in by Epiphone. And we'll do a compare to your BB King Lucille, which is outfitted with the Gibson humbuckers. They're also an Alnico pickup, but they're the Gibson modification. So we'll look at it back to back. So here's my guitar with the Epiphone pickups. All right, so that's my front pickup. I'm going to turn down the tone. Let's see how that nice jazzy stuff goes down. All right. Okay, so yeah, it gets a nice smooth mellow tone. Here's my middle. So I got both pickups. I got this guy. Now, the nice thing about this guitar is I do have coil switching, coil tapping. So I'm going to have, well, let me do. I'll take, these are both in humbucker right now. And that's a balance. Now I'll give a little more of this guy. Alright, so that's kind of cool. Here's the front only. Here's this. Right? And here's what I actually have dialed in on that back pickup. So that's the mix of those two. So there's the mix. I put the two together just by doing that. Now, I also do have, like I say, I have that coil switching, right? Coil tap, actually, is what it does, is it takes this humbucker and turns it into a single coil. So it'd be very similar to a Stratocaster or a Fender sound. Right? So I can get that sort of an effect out of that. So that's that. And then if I combine that, right, so I'm taking that sound and mixing it with that. Okay. Now, of course, I could coil tap this pickup as well. And do maybe, let's give a break. So now I got a little brightness on this pickup, and of course, a lot of that. So now if I go in the middle of that, right? So it's a very versatile guitar. I absolutely do love my 339. It's it saved me a lot of guitars bringing to a gig. A lot of times I just show up with this one, and it covers anything that I can bump into. All right. So anyways, that's this guitar. Now let's take a look at yours, and that'll let us know. Let me just make it quick. And eventually I'll show you the effects pedal that I'm using too, which is a Digitech RP1000. So we'll put this guitar over here. And we'll bring out the pretty lady. And I'm going into the left. I think it's a left mono. You do have the stereo. So I believe this is right and this is left. And if you plug into this, it's left mono. If you do the two together, you can get a stereo sound off of this guitar. Let me put back on my volume. And turn up some volumes here. Now I have changed nothing at all on the pedal. Okay, nothing has been changed. You know what needs to be changed though? Let me tune it up. Sorry about that. Yeah, definitely needed a tune up. New strings. Now supposedly that's nice. Let's see if I slip. Yep. That's good. Oh, slipped. That's good. That slipped. That's good. That's a little. There we go. All right. So now we have a tuned up guitar. That's a good comparison. And this is outfitted with the natural Gibson strings. You know, that's how they do it. This has sonotone strings on it, which is a Boston company that I love. Paul Santos turned me on to these guys, and I've been using them exclusively ever since. They have a beautiful balanced sound to them. But I'm aware of Gibson strings. I've used them before too, and I really like those as well. So here's this guitar now. I'm in the baritone bypassed, and I'm on that neck pickup, and all the way up on the tone and all the way up on the volume. Now we'll give it that mellow. It's got a little bit of that BB sound. That, yeah, so it's singing. And we'll do a mix. So I'm going to mix in this pickup and this one. Oh, that's got a nice... Now, as far as what I have going, effects-wise, of course, we got some reverb, that's obvious. There's a little bit of delay, but I use delay just as a slight little... It just gives me a bounce, like I hit the back wall. Hear it? See? I use that a lot. I kind of like, that's it. I tailor my delay to just be that. So it's just a little like I just hit the back wall of a room. And the reverb is just the actual characteristics of the room. So that's what I deal with my delay and reverbs. This does have a slight chorusing, but I don't think I'm actually really using chorus. I can tell you what I have. What is it? It's probably like some sort of a, maybe an electro-harmonics choruser. And I have compression on, and I'm using just studio compression. Which, what studio compression does is if I play something really hard, it brings the level down so it doesn't clip on something. But if I play something really subtle, it brings it up. So it gives me a nice overall balance. So if I'm doing like, I'm just barely playing that. There I was belting a little bit, but then the blend was perfect. So I can do subtle things and it kicks in fine. You know, I'm sorry about this. I'm kind of like back like this. But there's your bridge pickup. And yeah, she is singing. Right? So that's with the tone all the way up. Of course, you don't have the coil tapping. Okay? So this is humbucker all the way. But we were talking about that. The baritone actually works really well as a augmentation to the coil tapping. So let's see what happens if I... See, so now I just went to that position 3. We came to the conclusion that we really like 3 or 4. Right? So it really makes that bridge pickup sing crazy. And now with the compression kicked in, see, I'm not having that little, where it thinned out a little bit yesterday when we just did amp, guitar straight to amp. So it's the compressor that's doing that. All right? So that's the difference there. If I took that compression off, you'd see the difference, right? So here's no baritone. Here's the baritone with no compression. So you can see that it, you know, kind of thins out. It thins the herd a little bit. And it's because this is really just a notch filter. It's just notching out certain frequencies. So they just, you know, they get... What I mean by notching is virtually it becomes a trowel at a certain frequency, and it allows like the bass and some trebles, but there's a mid-cut that's going on at different locations, and that's how the baritone works. So when I'm in bypass, then all frequencies can come right through. Right? So that's with bypass on the baritone. We'll have to look at a couple of B.B. King videos of live footage and see where he has his baritone. And the other thing I wanted to do was I was going to use some distortion and see how these pickups sing with some distortion on them, right? So let's try that out. So here's no distortion. Now let's kick it on. Oh, let's put my compression back on. Okay, so there's my compression. It's a studio compressor. You wouldn't know, you know. The only way you know is that you don't get an engineer yelling at you saying, can we do that again? Okay, so here's distortion kicked in. Right, yeah, she sings. Right? Now, I don't think I've ever heard BB way up screaming like that. Now I just took it back into the middle. I got both pickups. That's more than that BB. Right? Right? So that's that sound. Right? Yeah. So that distortion, it does define it. The pickups really sing really nicely with some distortion. Let's try a really hot-rodded sound now. All right. Yeah, so you were asking me yesterday, how does this equate to like a Les Paul? Well, that's a good example right there, okay? So let me sit back a little bit so I can get into this picture here. So that's probably, there was a classic Les Paul sound right there. So these Gibson pickups are really giving you that sort of a sound, you know? So, you know, and this is a vintage Alnico pickup, so you're probably sounding like a really nice early 60s Les Paul. Except you can even go stereo, so that's really, you know, that's that extra little special that BB liked, you know, or even Les Paul himself had a stereo Gibson Les Paul that he would use in the studio. If you listen to the Guitar Monsters, what they call it now, Chester and Lester, it was Les Paul and it was Chet Atkins as a duo, and Les had some of the most incredible guitar tones on that album. So you might want to look at that and give it a listen, and you'll really understand what Les Paul's sound like. And Chet was actually using his super axe, it was a Gretsch. It was a Gretsch super axe. It was actually built specifically for Chet Atkins. So anyways, yeah, so beautiful sounding guitar. I'm back to the standard with no distortion. Let me see. I got any other cool ones? What do we got? What's in here? Let's see what it sounds like as an acoustic guitar. That's a little setting that I can have on my effects pedal. I can actually simulate an acoustic guitar. All right. Let's see what else we got here. Sub-octave. Crazy stuff, huh? Oh, here's a matchless. A nice British. You was looking at a Marshall. That's a matchless. Very similar to, it's a boutique amp. Bass guitar. What else can we give you? Oh, here's Jimi Hendrix. Minus the distortion, but I'm using a Plexi, which is another Marshall. This would be very similar to what Hendrix would have used. And I think if I throw on here, I'd probably put on some Univibe. Yeah. And if I go to distortion, I'm sure I kicked it with what Jimmy would have used. Alright. So yeah, you can sound like Jimi Hendrix. Anybody you want to sound like, You use that baritone, you can probably get close to some Strat type of stuff. Let's see what that happens. Let's go like one of those real... Yeah, that's pretty Stratty in a way. Yeah, so, and that's a baritone at 5. So I could even notch it one more time. Right? So that's giving me that scream of a Strat. And that's with a baritone. So, but you need a compressor be kicked in there too to keep the levels up and constant. But anyways, hey, great sounding guitar. She's beautiful. Love her for the rest of your life, and she'll treat you good. And I also, no belt. She's as clean as a whistle on the back. No scratches. I'm not going to scratch this thing up at all.